Hi, it's our last Newsworthy video of 2022 and we are packing it with all the good news stories of the year. Now, you're not going to believe it if I say that there was so much good news in the world. Big and small, good, happy, positive, real, insightful. Some left a smile on our face and a lot many gave us hope for 2023. So Pallavi and Self simply decided to stack them up. Here they are coming up for you in no particular order. This is a year where nearly every movie and tweet either seem to offend or make headlines. So we're starting with King Khan. Shah Rukh Khan's presence and speech at the Kolkata International Film Festival. He was the perfect reminder to stay positive and keep your head high. Next, Dr. Prachi Rathore and Dr. Ruth John Paul from Telangana, who created history by becoming the first from the transgender community to join government service. Number 3 on our list, Moroccan football player donated all his World Cup earnings to charity. This isn't something new. He's been donating his professional salary since 2015 to people in need in Morocco, which, by the way, became the first African country to ever qualify for a World Cup semi-final this year. Number 4 on our list is Jessica Wade, a physicist. She received the British Empire Medal and a citation from the founder of Wikipedia. Why, you'd ask? Well, for writing more than 1,600 entries about previously unknown female scientists. The next one's another favorite. A 95-year-old won the Best New Artist at the Latin Grammys. We're talking about Angela Alvarez, the oldest person to be nominated and to win in the category. She began writing songs in 1942 in Cuba, but it took her 8 decades to release her first album just last year, encouraged by her grandson. Now, even though the US took several steps backward this year when it comes to reproductive rights, Sierra Leone and Malta have showed the way. Scotland has become the first country to guarantee the right to a free period. England announced flexible working for women who are going through menopause. In India, the BCCI, which is the Board of Cricket Control in this country, has agreed to equalize the match fees for the men and women cricket teams. The Netherlands joined the United States and Spain in paying women's international football players the same amount of money as the men. The next one, after a 33-year gap, women were allowed in one of the world's most prestigious sporting events, the Tour de France. Despite taking place in Qatar, where women's rights are, frankly speaking, very, very, very limited, the Men's World Cup had a welcome milestone. For the first time, a female referee officiated a game. The Euro 2022 final and the second T20 cricket match between India and Australia just this month netted massive TV audiences for a women's match. The next one, 19 years old Zara Rutherford, the youngest female solo pilot to circle the earth this year, flying over 32,000 miles, 44 countries, and breaking 2 Guinness World Records in the process. Nicole Mann became the first Native American woman in space. She's the mission commander of NASA's SpaceX Crew 5 mission that is spending 5 months on the International Space Station. And in Europe, John McFall became the first ever astronaut with a disability. Now, back home, the courts have very seriously started considering whether marital rape should be criminalized. There was a split verdict that came from the Delhi High Court earlier this year, and it saw the court making powerful observations and setting some powerful precedents, upholding women's right to bodily autonomy, whether they're married or not. Slovenia has ruled that its ban on same-sex marriages was unconstitutional. Singapore has pledged to decriminalize homosexuality. Greece and Israel have banned the use of conversion therapy on gay people. And the United States has approved a legislation guaranteeing federal recognition of gay and interracial marriages. Back to India. The population living below the poverty line in India decreased by about 415 million between 2005-6 and 2021. This is according to the United Nations and the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative. So of the 415 million that exited poverty line, 140 million have done so since 2015. The greatest strides were seen in some of our poorest states. The pandemic set India, like much of the world, back in various ways. So this was such a welcome update. This year, we also found out that India's wide ratio of baby boys to baby girls, which arose in the 1970s, is now narrowing, according to newly released data from the National Family Health Survey. Well, we still have many more, and Pallavi has the next one.
2022 was a very good year for medical firsts and breakthroughs. There was progress tackling cancer. Scientists developed tests that can potentially diagnose cervical cancer, prostate cancer using blood and urine samples. Research is ongoing, but it looks very promising. In the biggest study of its kind, researchers harnessed the power of whole genome sequencing to unearth a treasure trove of clues about the causes of cancer. Just this month, a teenager diagnosed with incurable leukemia was cured, thanks to what scientists say is the most sophisticated cell engineering to date. In Denver, USA, a middle-aged patient with leukemia became the first woman and third person to be cured of HIV after receiving a stem cell transplant involving umbilical cord blood. She has been free of the virus for 14 months without her regular antiretroviral treatment. There were also some Alzheimer's breakthroughs. A new drug that could slow the disease is being described as a major step forward for dementia research. Separately, a study pinpointed 75 genes associated with Alzheimer's, including 42 that were not previously linked. This could pave the way for new therapies. A new malaria vaccine has been called the best yet by researchers. There is talk that infant malaria deaths could end in our lifetimes thanks to the drug. Now to all the good and green. Did you know that giraffe populations have rebounded 20% in the last 7 years thanks to conservation efforts? Beavers, bisons, pelicans have also rebounded according to the Wildlife Comeback Report. The bison is actually roaming England again for the first time in thousands of years. The rhinos returned to Mozambique, resurgence of fin whales and tiger populations all growing. A global deal on protecting sharks was another notable victory. A related side note, pets in Spain are now legal members of the family, which means that they have rights, including how they are taken care of in divorce or separation cases. Next, on to two landmark deals. In December, 188 nations adopted a framework at COP15, also being referred to as the Paris Agreement for Nature, to halt and reverse the loss of natural ecosystems by 2030. And earlier in the year, 175 nations endorsed a historic resolution to end plastic pollution. There are, of course, shortcomings, as is inevitable when the whole world has to agree to something, but steps in the right direction. Speaking of plastics, University of Texas scientists and engineers have created an enzyme that can break down plastics in hours to days, plastics that typically take centuries to degrade. The owner of multi-billion-dollar clothing firm Patagonia gave away the entire company to help fight climate change. And manufacturing giant 3M just last week said that it will stop using and making toxic forever chemicals that don't degrade in our bodies and the environment and have been linked to illnesses. Land was returned to nature and to indigenous people. In California, redwood forests were handed back to the descendants of the Native American tribes. In Brazil, the incoming president pledged to halt deforestation and revive the Amazon Fund. And Ecuador ruled that indigenous communities must be given more autonomy over their territory. There have also been other welcome shifts. The International Energy Agency, for the very first time, predicted that the global demand for fossil fuels would peak in the mid-2030. One reason for that is hardly good news: Russia's war on Ukraine and the West's subsequent dash to wean itself off Russian gas. But even without the war, the case for fossil fuels looked even weaker this year. Lloyds and HSBC are among the banks pledging to stop funding new oil and gas fields. By contrast, investment in renewables has surged. US physicists also gave us a glimpse of the future when they cracked one of nuclear fusion's biggest mysteries, bringing the prospect of near limitless low carbon energy a step closer. We're all slowly making changes for the better. This year, Germany launched the world's first 100% hydrogen powered trains which emit only water as they chug along. France has banned domestic flights where there's a train alternative that takes less than 2.5 hours. We could go on and on and on. Yes, there is a lot of good news. A glimmer of hope when Russian journalist Dmitry Muratov auctioned his Nobel medal for $103.5 million to an anonymous buyer. The proceeds went to aid Ukrainian children and their families displaced by the war. And the last one for this evening. After 74 years, two brothers separated by the partition were reunited. Siddiq, 78, from Pakistan's Faisalabad met his elder brother Habib via the Kartarpur corridor. It was a sight to behold. With that, I want to thank you for your support and love in 2022. We've had a big year at Newsworthy and we could not have done it without you. We hope that you will keep supporting us going into the new year. Subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Instagram. And share this video with your friends and family to spread a little end of year cheer. You can also make a small or big contribution and stand with news that keeps you informed and sane. The link to contribute via Razorpay is in the description for this video on YouTube and in our Instagram bio. Your support in these ways helps an independent news team like us in more ways than one. The Newsworthy team wishes you a wonderful holiday season. We will see you in 2023.